Hello, everyone. My name is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought on another fantastic group of independent comic book creators. So please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. And one more thing, tomorrow, noon, no, actually 11 a.m., the Oswald Chronicles will be going live again. So volume 2 is coming out. And for you early bird people, I got a pin and a coaster for you guys, so go check them out. And that's for the first 45 physical backers. I got to figure something out for you digital backers, but we'll get to that later. I'm going to bring on this gentleman right here.
What is up, Streamland? Calderon, I love your energy tonight. That was a great intro. You know, I mean, I'm vibing off of that. I'm feeling the charge. Ladies and gentlemen, I am JD Rosario from Unstoppable Comics, been publishing books for over 15 years, and for the next hour and change, I will be the Hannah to Calderon's Barbera, the Ruby to his Spears, the Warner to his brothers. Maybe we'll nice. Dot in a moment, right? I think you got Dot showing up in a second, right? And we're going to have some fun.
How can I follow that up now? How am I supposed to follow that up? Man, come out the box like that. What? Hey, I'm C. Michael Lanning, independent artist, or as I like to call myself, a graphic translator. Done work for Arrow Comics right here at Calico with Shard. Got some other stuff coming up, including from Haslam Productions and something else coming from Apothic Press. Plus, I do a show on Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Indy Comics Network.com called Dispatches from Outside the Box.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. I'm ready to ask some questions.
See, you followed up nice. You have some energy there, Lane.
Yeah.
I like that.
I have to. I came behind you. I got to bring it.
Yeah. Now, look, we also have to mention Nita and Daphne's show, which is tomorrow, because, you know, I'll be on there, and that'll be my my party. So it'll be the coming out thing. So, you know, we'll see how that works out.
See, representing already. See, so.
There you go. Oh. Evan, how are you, sir?
Hey, please, everybody. I'm Evan David, and I don't have a place in my house to record from that's not embarrassing. So that's why I'm not on video. But the character you're seeing is the Black Blossom, which is my main series. I work with Starcross Comics. I've got a couple of titles with them. I've been doing comics for a couple of years now, but I've been following them all my life, and it's been a great ride so far. I got a Kickstarter that's live currently. We're going to be talking about it. I'm also a co-host on the Strangers and Aliens podcast at strangersandaliens.com.
Nice.
Cool.
Hey.
How you doing, Joe? Please introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Joe Spicer. I run Starcross Comics. We've been publishing for around 20 years. We have about 30 different titles and about 15 different creators. And we're always putting out something new.
Nice.
Right now is Evan's book. Evan's trade paperback, so that's like his, you know, he's done six issues plus the annual.
Yes,
very
indeed.
Nice. Very nice, very nice. And we also have on Mr. Allen.
Whoa, caught. Sorry.
It's good.
My little something there. Hi, Alin Silverwood. I am with Popsicle Press. I used to work for Marvel Comics on staff. On the editorial staff on The Incredible Hulk and She-Hulk and Ghost Rider, and did a little bit of writing for them. And I'm now doing my own things just fairly recently. Little Spies Among Us is one of our titles, and we're coming out with something that's in Kickstarter right now, Infinite Souls, and we'll talk about that later. But I'm going to do some writing and some editing for other people too, and novels. I write books too. So
it's a very good thing to do. It's great to be well-rounded.
I'm a little too well-rounded.
I'm in that category too.
It seems to come with the territory. I don't know.
Now, we're going to change it up a little bit this week because normally I ask the first question, but Mr. Lanning says he has a bunch of questions. So
whoa, wait a minute.
There we go.
No, I got to feed off of JD Rosario over here. See,
See, you give people opportunities and they don't ever take them.
No,
All right,
I got you. I got you some.
Oh, okay,
I got you
okay,
some.
okay.
All right, we're gonna
Okay,
talk
got
about it. We're gonna talk about integrity, and the way I got to set this question
Ooh.
up is this way. All right, so I was taking a look today, or not today, but this past week, at Bill Watterson and Jim Davis, two cartoonists. Don't cut me off yet, because I know you're going to tell me this is an independent show, JD. But hold on. But they both have two different takes on how they approach their IPs. You have Bill Watterson, strictly, he didn't merchandise his stuff, anything like that. And I think I looked at his net worth was like $100 million, which is pretty good for somebody who didn't merchandise, right? But then you look at Jim Davis, and Jim Davis has merchandise Garfield all over the place. You know, almost every household has Garfield somewhere in there. And his net worth, I think, was like $800 million. So let me ask you this question. Is merchandising or sometimes considered selling out, does it undermine your integrity? Do you feel that it undermines your integrity? And would you merchandise the same as Garfield, or would you want to only stick with the comic and only the comic?
Okay. That's fair. Alan, yes, please.
I'll hit that one. You know, I don't know how it seems to me that like everybody I talk to who creates comics and stuff, it's like one of the first things they're like that they would most like to see is an action figure of some of their characters. It's like that's like a big thing. And it's like, so that's merchandising. It's like, oh, the dream is like to see my characters come alive in a 6-inch figure or something, it's like that's like a thing. And it's like, so if that's my merchandising, yes, I'm on board. The thing about merchandising though is that sometimes you have to give up some rights and stuff in order to get it done. So it's kind of a balancing act. Depends on what you're merchandising, who you're merchandising with, but they will definitely have, if they're a big company, they're definitely going to have their demands on your IP. And then you have to make your decisions based on that.
Yeah.
But if you can do your own merchandising.
Yeah. I think for me, it'd have to be some sort of happy medium between Garfield and what Bill Watterson's doing, because honestly, I so wish that Bill Watterson would have branched out a little bit more than just the comic book. We could have had bobbleheads, just a bobblehead. I want a Calvin and Hobbes bobblehead.
A lot of people want the Hobbes plush, at least. Just the Hobbes plush.
For real.
Yeah, right.
If I could have a modicum of control of what kind of merchandise is produced, like Alan was saying, like the action figure, I think you get to the point of selling out when your characters become like the mascot for an insurance company, or they're on ham at the grocery store or something. I think that's a bridge too far for me.
Unless your character is like a pig, a pig
yes,
character,
yes.
Then you want him on a ham because it's like,
true.
Exactly.
That's a delay.
Yeah,
what are you thinking?
I have no problem with it. Obviously, if you do a movie or something, you're going to have something that probably no longer looks like your character, your storyline, your, what made it unique. They're going to commercialize it. But I mean, we'll make merchandise. The whole trick is just how do you mass produce it? They used to, they can't even make, figures like they used to anymore. They don't have the factories, the presses, everything is, I'm having a statue made now of one of my characters that's looking cool, and you can 3D print it. I have, an action figure here, but like I don't have an assembly line of these going out or anything like that. I have, I have a life-size model of my character's sword up on my shelf back there, but these are things that I'm not mass producing and selling in stores or whatnot. I think back in the day, even when Jack Kirby couldn't even go into a Toys R Us because of all of his characters that were there that he had no rights to, and he said he would sit in his car while his wife would go into Toys R Us to buy presents for their kids and grandkids, because he couldn't look at a Hulk toy or a, you know, Fantastic Four toy or Silver Surfer toy, because he felt like those were taken from him. So that's like a whole other world. And I know we base everything off Marvel and DC. What do they do? How many toys do they make? It's almost like you have to push that aside and go, you know, lower, you know, even if you go like maybe like Mignola and Hellboy, you know, but he was already pretty famous when he started doing that. And then you go lower to like maybe the young Image guys at the time, but again, they were kind of known names. They were capitalizing on their popularity. And I think the best go-to, because these guys were nobodies at the time, you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was the biggest thing that just went from two guys in their apartment to a worldwide phenomenon. And I think that's got to stay forever the coolest indie. I mean, you can't get more merchandising than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's impossible.
It's an evergreen property. Yes.
Yeah.
Every 5 years, something new.
It's interesting. You bring up Jack Kirby. It's like if you create a character for a company and then it's out there and you're like, man, I'm not getting anything back on that, which is what happened to Kirby, you know, versus, you know, I mean, a lot of us with our own little small companies, it's like if we were to merchandise, we'd be the ones getting something back on that.
Right.
So it's kind of like, you know, you're the one getting something back on it. Maybe you wouldn't feel so bad about it, rather than being like, I created that and I'm not getting a penny out of all of this stuff going on out there and making millions of dollars. You know, like when Lucas did Star Wars, it's like he merchandised the crap out of it, but he was the guy getting all that. He had arranged his contract famously with Fox, so that like he was like, I'll take, you know, you guys take whatever from the movie, I'll just take, you know, my percentage from the merchandising, and then they merchandise the crap out of it, and it's like he got filthy rich off of that. I'm like, you know,
there's another scenario aside from that, and Calderon interviewed this guy, you know, just recently, Ben Dunn, right? Ben Dunn had to sell for you know reasons. He had to sell Worrying on Ariella. And now, you know, the second season just came out on Netflix. He's not getting a bite of that. He's the one that originated, but he had to sign the paperwork to give it up, right? And he gave it up for a reason. So you got to come to grips with stuff like that, right? But to answer Lanny's question, for me, who's paying my bills at the end of the day, right? Who's taking care of my family at the end of the day? So if there's another revenue stream coming in for me to take care of that, fuck yeah, I got nobody to answer to other than my wife. That's it. Right? As long as she said, that's where
priority straight.
That's right. That's where my level of integrity starts and ends. As long as she's taken care of, as long as she's happy, well, goddamn, you know, I'm doing what I got to do, right? And with Garfield, you know, the blessing with Garfield was that all those different merchandising routes, all it did was place Garfield into the minds of people from different areas, whether it was, you know, your teenage older cousin's bedroom with the phone, whether it was, you know, your little cousin's bed sheets, whether it was the cartoon, whether
the station wagon suction cups. Yeah,
there you go. right. You know what? And it just kept that in the atmosphere.
Right.
The opposite is Waterson, who didn't, but it still got out there. How many times have you seen that bootleg image of somebody on the back of somebody's car of him taking a piss? Right? He didn't authorize that, and that still got out there.
So let me ask you this question, because I'm glad you brought that up. Is that the reason why Calvin and Hobbes is as big as it is?
I think so.
Did that put that in
in totally no. Did it help it remain out there? Yeah. Right. And I want to use a wrestling term for a second. A heel is always going to be more popular than the face, right? Or the Joker, right? Is going to be more popular than Batman. So they took an iconic character and they flipped it a little bit to the dark side, right? So you got those people who are a little bit skewed, who they say they're not really into comic books, but they recognize it. So because he's doing something dirty, I'll put it on the back of my car, right?
Yeah.
You know, but it got out there. Look, I don't know about you guys. I'm not popular enough to bootleg. I figure once I'm bootlegged, then I've made it.
There
Right?
you go.
Yeah,
Good
exactly.
point. Yeah, absolutely.
So when you look at the Tale of Two Cities there, it's someone who said, yeah, let's get it out there and reap the benefits, right? 7 times over than Waterson. And then you have Waterson, okay, he made his money, but his product still got out there and he didn't see anything for it.
Right.
Well, to tack on to your bootleg stuff, I would love to be bootlegged and just send those people a bill at the end of it.
Yeah. Have your lawyer send them the bill, and it'll have more effect.
There you go.
Exactly.
Like I remember listening to a podcast, and I forgot who the creator was, but they got invited to be a guest in India, and they know they never sold anything in India, but they were one of the you know who I'm talking about, Calderon? I don't remember.
No, I've heard a similar story though.
So this person was one of the top 3 guests on the card of this convention over there, and I mean, not that he was a Beatle, but they were giving him this praise in India, and this guy's like, I never sold anything out there, but you know what? His stuff was bootlegged like a motherfucker, right? Torrents or whatever you want to call it, and it was out there. And based on those bootlegs alone, his popularity was so much. He got paid to go to the show. Is it another form of revenue? Or excuse me, is another loss of revenue?
Well, the thing is, though, is it depends on, because that happens to a lot of bands, and what they do is they go on tour in those countries and they sell out. So if he were to be opportunistic, he could have gone to that convention, brought a bunch of new material that was never put out, and probably reaped some heavy rewards from that.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
Capitalize on your own bootlegging.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Well, let's look at a 20-year difference, right? When streaming was still in its infancy, Metallica, right, and Napster, the whole thing shut down. Yet now you see all of this material on TikTok with people's dancing videos, right? Would that have been able to exist in the infancy of the internet the way Metallica went after the product? Whereas now they understand, you know what? Allow it to be out there in the greater lexicon of the world, because all that's going to do is generate awareness for you and build your fan base so people can buy future product from you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like free advertising in a way. If you kind of pivot onto something else, it's
And even from an artist perspective, you could draw something and then all of a sudden it ends up on a t-shirt and you didn't even know that. And people are talking about the design. You're like, oh, I did that. They never even told me they were making t-shirts, and this big hit. I remember when before Scotty Young got into Marvel, he did a design for POD. Do you remember POD? Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, I just saw your t-shirt on at like, what was it, like Hot Topic or something like that. He's like, what? That's crazy. I didn't even know that. I'm gonna have to go there and check it out. So it's like a lot of artists don't even know when their stuff is being merchandised. That's when you're working for a company. Now, when you have your own product, like I remember, since I'm from Milwaukee, and our famous creator was Rob Schraub, who did a lot of TV later on, but he did Scud the Disposable Assassin, since we're talking about Indy Comics. And he eventually sold the rights to Ridley Scott, and he got money for that. And they moved to California, and they're like, oh yeah, well, we bought it, but that doesn't mean we're going to make the movie. Like, it's on our shelf with like all our other movies we bought. That might sit there for 30 years. And he's like, oh, I thought like, so he was stuck there, and he started making music videos and started making stuff on different TV shows. And that's what he's doing. He finally got the rights back to do his comic, and he completed it and made a big, thick trade paperback. But it took that long just to get the rights of his own creation to be able to start making comics again.
He didn't sell the option rights. He sold the outright property.
I believe so, because they did a video game.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do anything with the book until recently. So
they probably didn't even present him with optioning just movie licenses or show license or anything like that. They probably said, we're going to option it.
Maybe
they just gave him a bunch of money, and he just kind of freaked out and went, oh, I don't have to work anymore. And he kind of just sit back and did whatever he wanted to do. He still was being creative, but
Hollywood will do that a lot. They'll buy the rights to books and comics and stuff. They'll buy the rights, and then they may never produce it. It's a question of how much money did you get out of it. I mean, they got you enough money to sit back and go, I can retire now. I don't care if they ever make my movie. It's like, right? I mean, I like to create my stuff and I want to show it off, but at the same time, if they give me enough money to retire, I'll just go create something else then.
Yeah, I've actually heard before that them optioning something in it, sitting in what it's purgatory or whatever they call it. I can't remember.
It's usually a standard 5-year option deal.
Yeah, so it actually is more lucrative than if they actually make the movie sometimes.
In some ways, yeah.
On the flip side of that, I've had interest in, contacting some book publishers about, hey, I love your novel. Let's do a graphic novel. Let's do a comic book version. They're like, yeah, sorry, we sold the rights to Disney, and
it's just sitting there.
It's just sitting there, and they're never going to do it. So,
who's Disney? I don't know if I know those guys.
Those guys.
Never heard of them.
I know it's going to sound like a scumbag move, but that's a great way to, if you got the money, have something in the drawer when you need it.
Well, that's what they're always doing, though.
Point.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think merchandising is great. As you can see on Mr. Lanning's hat, that's my character. So, whenever I get the chance to do something a little unusual, whether it be a T-shirt or whatever, I just do it as add-ons on the on my Kickstarters, and they sell. Once you have a nice little audience, you can sell them. They want tchotchkes. Eventually, I'm going to show this off again. I did this guy a few years ago.
Oh yeah,
nice.
And that's a vinyl figure, right? We had them produced in China, mass produced. We had about 1,300, 1,350. I could have bought a car, but instead I made this.
So, yeah, but a car, this
exactly. But the way I look at it is like this. As far as the merch goes, as long as I enjoy it, because I'm doing it for me, I'm spending my money, right? As long as I'm enjoying it, that's what matters.
Right.
And that was pre-crowdfunding days, right? When you got
this was before crowdfunding. So yes, that was really insane.
This guy behind me, right? If you've been watching this or hanging with us, that I'm launching that guy as an action figure on Kickstarter next year, and just to get 2,000 pieces made, shipped from China, it's going to be about $23,000, right? So I gotta do crowdfunding for the cushion and for taxes and for Kickstarter's cut. I gotta run a Kickstarter at almost $30,000. Am I gonna make it? I fucking hope so, right? Or else I wouldn't be putting the time into doing it. But I can't come up with $23,000 just like that.
No. I've got my character Wild Swan right now. She's such a great character. I'm like, okay, there's a guy who's doing some the prototypes, and I'm like, I just gave him the stuff to do her, and I'm like, I'm gonna see what happens. We'll get the prototype back, and then I'll decide what happens from there. But it's like, I wanted to go for it. I found the opportunity. It's like,
we've talked about this before. We've talked about the toys and stuff like that, in DMs. And the quote that I got right now for this person for a 6-inch, because it was supposed to be originally a 4-inch figure, right? The 1/18 scale, the G.I. Joe size. But that's not what's in the market right now. And I could sell the figure for $30. It's almost comparable to what's going on in the market today. You got a Marvel Legend going for about $27, right, at Target. So okay, I'm at a price point similar to what's trending currently. So okay, and I could turn a good profit on it.
Nice, Mr. Lanning, answer your own question, sir.
It depends on the IP. Honestly, don't have one IP you can have. I don't think it's selling out. Honestly, I don't. Like, for instance, as far as Jim Davis was concerned, what he did with Garfield, he marketed that. He actually started Garfield as a strip about John, and it ended up the cat was more popular, and he capitalized on it. He even knew so much so, you used to see the little suction cup Garfields everywhere on the window, and after that, he pulled Garfield he was brave enough. He pulled Garfield for 5 years. because he didn't want it to be a trend. He didn't want it to die out and to be a trend. And then they put him back on the shelf, and now look where he's at. So he knew what he was doing with that. And to create an IP that way, I don't hold it against him if that's what he wants to do. You know, and that's the case. Now, if you want to sell out your IP to urinal cakes, that's your own business. If you want to.
Why not?
But you can't get mad when people go, you kind of created it for urinal cakes. So.
You don't.
This on my IP. Go ahead. Show me the money. Show me the money. I don't care.
Hate Elvis Presley's manager as much as you want, right? But the guy made buttons saying, "I hate Elvis," so he was getting your money one way or another, whether you liked him or you hated him. He was getting your money. So if you want to piss on my shit because you don't like it, okay, no problem. Let's make that money.
But there are some things that I do hold dear that I probably wouldn't sell because I wouldn't want to lose control over. But I have a lot more that I would. it's
nice.
The case.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. So let's move on now. Before we move on, though, I'm gonna look at. I've been ignoring the chat. Anyone who said hello, we're gonna. And I'm just gonna move on to statements. Critical Blast says it's just a bunch of heathens and reprobates, which used to be what made it fun. So yeah, that's exactly what you. Thank you. Oh my God, look at the simp wearing the Oswald pin. C, is it an ethical, moral framework that question is grounded in? Mitch, what's up? Merchandising isn't selling out, in my opinion. To be humans, want what they can't have. Well, this is true.
That was back with the Hobbs.
Indie Comics that we're living American hours again. I guess. Jake is overseas. Right. Merchants dig into the savings or risk taking up loans, so it's not unless the income streams and residuals can back that type of. Okay, I get it. Well, to answer that one, Jake, I mean, aside from the toy, all the other merch I do is fairly reasonably priced. I can get it within, $400 or $500, and I can make that money back pretty quickly. I don't know how the rest of you guys feel, but always try to all right, trust. Oh, what's up, Max? He says, "What's up?"
What's up, Max?
Licensing is the heart of it, unless you don't hold the rights. DreamWorks did the same thing with Kasada and Palmihati's Ash comic. Oh, I didn't know that.
Sitting on it.
I know Hollywood bought the rights to female Indiana Jones style comics years ago. Marvin, what's up?
What's up, Marvin?
I'm announcing.
If they sell, man, go for it.
I'm with that.
Yep. Everything has a price.
Make a comic strip and stick it on there. That way, for them really long pisses,
All right, so that was the quick and dirty. Dirty chat.
That's like the perfect merchandising opportunity for a character called the Target.
There you go.
I know Marvin Wynn. He did a whole bunch of G.I. Joe size action figures. Yep. I got one on my shelf back there, so he would have a opinion on the whole merchandising.
Oh yeah, Marvin and I go back and forth quite a bit on that very topic.
There you go.
We're already in the toilet. We can't go any lower than that.
Oh yes, you could be the piss that's under the toilet that collects from different people throughout the course of the week. That's
okay.
We could be in the sewer. Then we're
right. Let's move on. Mr. J, do you want to start, or you want me to go?
Yes. And it's great that Joe is up here because maybe this question he could shed some light on this. Have you ever considered publishing someone else's book? And if so, why? And if not, why not?
That's like all we do. Is publish other people's books.
What? Go for it. Go ahead. Why? What made you pull the trigger on doing it?
So, when I first started, back in 98, I was a comic artist. I knew other friends of mine that I either grew up with or met recently, and they were all drawing comics. So I said, let's you were just getting out of high school, and I was like, let's start a company, because the Image guys were the big thing, you know, at the time, and they kind of made it like, hey, anybody can do this, so we should do that. And it was basically us Milwaukee guys, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then once Facebook became a thing, I you know, I was making friends that were like-minded, and they were just starting off, and I said, well, you could, because I never thought it would be outside of our bubble.
Okay.
So I said, well, you know, if you want to publish with us, but I always say, so going forward from that, I vet everybody. I always say there's three things that you need. So it's your quality. So the quality of your book, I'm talking, is it written well? Is it drawn well? Then the concept. What is your book about? Because it may be drawn well and written well, but it's, you know, it's about a urinal cake, and I'm not interested in that. You know, so
Why
so
not?
Oh,
but the concept might be cool, but you can't write and you can't draw. You need a different artist and a different right. Okay, and then the third thing is the creator themselves. Are they super ego person? Are they like not? Do they not work well with other people? It's like, hey, maybe just keep doing your book on your, because you don't need to like throw the monkey wrench into our gears and where we're tripping over you
Mhm.
when it was a mistake, you know. Like, so those are the three things. It's quality of the book. What is the concept of the book? Is it something that we actually want to, can I be on this show talking about Evan's Black Blossom and tell you how much I like it? Or is it kind of like, yeah, it's all right, I don't want to be here talking about it, you know? um and do we get along with the creator? So if they don't meet those three criteria, then they can, you know, they should just self-publish. You know, a lot of our creators, they can be publishing on their own, but my whole theory behind Starcross was, it wasn't about me, it was about, hey, if we all get along and we all kind of see eye to eye, why aren't we working all together? Because if Evan has fans and I have fans and everybody else does, and we all have ideas and we all want to do something great, let's all go in it together and make a louder noise than just all these individual noises.
Right. Right. It's the sum is greater than the whole of its parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Niobe or Larry is asking, what's up, Larry? He's asking, are you in Diamond?
No, because the money on how much you have to split with them and how much you have to you know, I know so many people who are in Diamond, but and they've always told me horror stories. But we want to get in Luna and see how it is with them. I know a couple publishers I know have jumped out of Diamond, but I want to check out Luna. They sent me some info that I got to send back to them, and we can see if we can get on a schedule with them. I know DC's with them now, and that was like the thing. DC left Diamond, and then Luna was something else before that, I believe, and I can't remember the name.
DTDS.
Yeah, so I'm like,
Discount Comic
okay,
Book Services, yeah.
let's see what happens with, you know, Luna. I already know what Diamond's all about. Let's just see what this is like. You know, I'm always up for trying something new. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't, well, we have to try, you know.
What is it? Larry says, if a publisher is not in Diamond, then there's nothing they can do for me that I cannot do for myself.
100%.
At that point, I might as well self-publish. Exactly.
You should. And I tell everybody, you can be doing everything yourself. You have to want to be in a group of creators. If somebody's first email to me is, what can you do for me? I basically delete their email. It's what can you do for everybody? It's what can you do to help Evan's book sell, which will then bring more people in to check out your book. If Evan's book is a huge hit, there's an ad in his book for my book, and they go to the website to buy Evan's other books, and then so-and-so's book will sell. Every time someone comes to our website, might come for one person's book, but they leave our store with everyone else's books because they're like, oh, I didn't even know about these. These look cool too, and they buy them. You know, that's how we do it.
Nice.
That's a good direction. That's what I kind of want to do too. The same thing. I've got some guys I'm talking to about their stuff, and it's like same philosophy. It just makes sense. It just makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Evan,
yes.
What are your thoughts on the question?
What was that?
So, what are your thoughts on the question?
The question, which one? The one about merchandise, or did I miss?
No. The Jay, if you can ask the question again.
I forgot how to write this shit down. Come on.
We're talking about urinal cakes. What are your feelings about urinal cakes? Urinal cake comic or not?
It's trending. That's right. I don't know why Joe won't take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to figure out how to get a urinal cake in a comic now. It's a challenge now.
Well, did you guys see that tampon character comic?
Oh yeah, right.
Yes.
I thought it was a joke. I thought somebody was just joking, and I clicked it. I go, no, this is a real comic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Somebody has to do it.
Applicator Man or something like that. Yeah.
It's drawn. No, the art is really good. That's all I'm saying.
Michael
Ratliff,
Ratliff,
you're bringing that up. So I saw the person promoting it in one of our group distribution channels, right? And the woman who put that channel together for stores that are into indie comic books, I don't want to say she was triggered, but her question was, who is your audience, right? And that's one of the other things you got to look at if you're going to go into stores, right? Can you answer that question effectively? So that way, whether the store owner likes the product or not, they understand what it can do sales-wise for their customers in the store.
To answer your question, would I publish somebody else's comic? I don't have the resources for that. I mean, I'm not a publishing company. I mean, I would definitely forward someone to Joe, because I used to be the editor-in-chief of Starcross Comics. I have a full-time job now, so I can't. But I would definitely forward other people over there, but I barely have enough resources to publish my own comics.
But you do look into other creators. I know you're working on that one with I won't say it, but it's like those giant people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will
like that.
Yeah, I'll definitely help people if I really like their concept. I'll hook them up with artists, or I'll connect them with some other people I know maybe. But yeah, as far as just outright, would I publish somebody else's book? Practically speaking, I can't.
Okay.
Gotcha. It all depends on with crowdfunding and Kickstarter and stuff. It's like if you go out there and you get you make goal, it's like whatever and they help somebody along, and it's like I'm good with that. For that I wouldn't mind.
So would you publish somebody's work out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd put it out there. It's like I said, for me, it would be a combination of like, I'll put a little my own capital into it, just enough to get some interest, and then it's really going to have to come through on crowdfunding, but it's basically the same points that Joe mentioned. It's like it's got to be somebody who's not a prima donna, it's got to be a product or a character that I really believe in. And what was the third point?
Quality.
Well, yeah, believing in it, but I believe in the quality. The quality's there.
Concept, and
the concept. It's like actually, I've got a guy that I'm talking to for a while now. That I got a thing. It's kind of like I'm going to put this together. I've been kind of sidetracked a lot for the last couple of years with some medical stuff, but it's just such a great property. When I saw it, I asked him, I'm like, can I publish this? And he's like, sure. And it's like, so we started working on it, and I started working on the story with him, and I haven't gotten back to it yet, but it's like I absolutely just love it. And I'm going, if I love it, other people are going to love this. And it's so well. And it's like, and I'll go out and I'll find us an artist, and then we'll get something started, and then, we'll kickstart it or something, crowdfunding.
Yep.
It's like, and then boom, it's it's good. It's worth doing it, you know.
So I just got, I got an email maybe a year ago, maybe less, and this, I get a lot of submissions, and he just didn't do a really good job pitching it, and I was like, yeah, it doesn't sound like anything we'd be interested in. Little did I know it's exactly what we're interested in. When he re-explained it to me, I said, I love this. I'm going to find you an artist. I'm going to help you. He's a good writer. He's just never written comics. He knows comics. He's just never written comics. I said, I'll show you how to write the script. I'll get you a cover artist, a colorist. I want to put this out. I got to get your characters designed. All your stuff is so unique. You have a focused vision on what this is supposed to be about and what these characters are like. It's super cool. I'm into it. I need to help you get this out there and put out. And
absolutely,
that's a perfect example of how I want to like take people who have something that may never turn into anything until the day they die and say, no. Let's do something with that. Let's make something of your idea and run with it, and that'll be forever something you created. And I don't care that I had to help. I had to put work in, and that's kind of how Starcross is. It's like we're just trying to get these awesome ideas out. We're not trying to, pay me X amount of money because I'm doing this all for them. I'm doing this to make comics, make awesome comics. And if we sell a bunch and make a lot of money, that's just going to equip us to be able to make more comics and put it more out there. And then if we make urinal cakes, then that's just a bonus.
That's right. That is the bonus.
It's a
They
bonus.
taste great. Who wouldn't love them?
It's nice to see you have experience tasting them. See, Michael, please answer the question.
And I want to add, this extends to your boss. Your better half as well, because I know she is someone who, in my experience with her, can handle this type of objective. So not that you have to answer for her, but maybe you have.
I don't know who she is. She lives in the closet. She's in the office. I have no idea.
She's gonna fuck you up, son. She's gonna fuck you up.
You guys got me messed up with that. What does your other half have to do with urinal cake?
Hey, if you want a urinal cake sold, you go to my other half. That's how it is.
There you go.
Oh, here she comes.
There's the urinal cake. The urinal cake half of my outfit's not me. That you got to speak to the boss.
Oh no, that. I hear the type. I hear the keyboard clicking. You're gonna see it in the comments. But no, honestly, I don't have any interest in publishing myself. I have been interested in publishing myself, but I don't have any interest in publishing. But of course, if I were going to take any stance on anything as far as helping somebody else out with another book, I would look at distribution, what I could do to help distribute, other than publish. But I don't, it's hard enough to get your own stuff out there as it is. So, oh, that's all you have to say?
All that, as well as I do, when that's all the wife has to say, you're gonna get fucked up when the show's over. About
no, I can only imagine. Now, as for her, this is her. This here, the Indie Comics Network .com is her publishing company, as it were. It is her getting people out. It is her.
Nice.
She and I could tell you as far as that. I'm just drawing and whatever the case is, but she's working hard at doing all of that. So she is a megaphone. I can't remember a metron. Whoever Alan Rickman played in Dogma. Okay.
I love that.
Metatron. Thank you. Yes, she's a Metatron for Indie Comics. So for her, that's her desire. My desire is to draw. I'm like Eric Larson in that respect. I just wanted to do comics. Y'all can go do toys and whatever the case.
Okay.
But Eric Larson draws like this.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen him draw?
I have.
It's
I can't figure. He's worse than J. Scott Campbell, but J. Scott Campbell has a weird way of drawing too.
He does. I didn't know that.
It's the way he holds his pencil. It's
really. I've met him a bunch of times. I guess I never saw him actively drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
it
I've
always
seen,
looks-
maybe he doesn't always draw like that. So
yeah, it always looks like Larson is hurting himself.
I used to
that's that
laugh.
passion, right?
When I worked at Marvel, I used to laugh at Mark Teixeira because he'd be in there late at night and he'd be working on Ghost Rider pages, and he had, he had his ink in one hand and a white out in the other hand, and that was it. It was like two-handed work. It was like ink and white out, because we were doing the old pages and stuff. It wasn't digital. And it was just like boom. It was just like there was so much white out on the pages when we got them back, but it was like, he was doing that. He was doing it, and it was getting it done, and it was gorgeous.
He knew
He's
what he
got
wanted.
such a savage style. I never knew. I thought he was using one of those like Japanese brushes that they would use to do characters or something.
He's a white out brush.
But it's so like it's like claws scraping down a page.
Mark's a big boy. He's a big dude.
Oh.
He's got, his hands are like small frozen Cornish game hens. I'm surprised there wasn't more smudging on the papers and stuff like that.
No, he was at a thing standing up, and he'd be doing work and stuff. And he always had such a good nature, and he's just like happy and just happy go lucky, just doing his thing. And it would be like this amazing stuff would come out. I mean, that's Teixeira.
It's funny. I picked up in a dollar bin a few months ago the Sectors miniseries from Marvel Comics. I don't know if everybody knows the toy line Sector. And Mark did the issues, right? And it's weird because you can see this is Mark's early work and how much they tempered him, right? And the lines are very bold and smooth, not what you would see in Ghost Rider, but the form is still there, and you're like, oh wow, this is what happens when you go through the whole assembly line, and then until you develop yourself out. So if anybody gets a chance, I mean, they're dollar bin books, but just to see his stuff and to compare it to what he did later on, it's amazing.
All right. So I guess it's up to me. Yes, I've considered publishing other people's stuff. I haven't done it yet. It's something I've been thinking about for a while, and I'm probably going to continue thinking about it because I'm so damn busy with my own stuff. So that's where I'm at. Mr. Rosario, answer your own question, sir.
Yeah. So I know Larry is not going to be happy with this, but yes, I am. And I am not in Diamond. I am not in stores. But there are other people around the world that do not have access to crowdfunding platforms. And that's one of the main reasons that I'm doing this. Yeah. And we pretty much locked the deal last night. So I'm excited about this, right? And, these guys are just looking to get, a foothold here in the American market on indie space. And they don't have access to the Kickstarter platform. So that's one of the things that I can provide for them. And being part of my catalog just means that they're going to get a lot more eyes on the product, and vice versa when my stuff ends up being shipped to their country. And it is an emerging comic book market. So it's awesome when you're able to find people and vibe with them in a way to bring about more product and help them nurture their baby. So it's not my baby, but it's a niece or a nephew that I'm going to care for while they're over here.
There you go. Hey, I like that. Yeah.
All right. So let me ask this question. I should have asked first, but here we go. So here's something. I title these shows every week, and I never ask the title question because I always forget them.
It's not about me.
I write a bunch of questions. I always forget to write that one question because I do it days in advance, whatever. But anyway, here's the question. What do you see going on within indie comics that's affecting the community as a whole, positive or negative, right? I'll give you an example. The opportunities I see is distribution, okay? Currently, we're with, I keep forgetting the name of his company. We're with a distributor out in California. And he's distributing to like small mom and pop shops. He's doing like weed shops out there. He's doing a great job. I've recently heard of 3 other distributors who are doing similar types of things around the country. So I'm going to be reaching out to them in the next few days, hopefully be able to send them a bunch of books. And once I find out how those work out, I'll be sharing that with everybody in the community so everybody can go in and start shipping books. Hopefully, make contacts with these guys and hopefully sell some books to them. So there's the question. What do you guys see within the community, right? Positive or negative, that's affecting the community, in a big way, right? So let's start with Evan.
Okay. Well, I have been a little out of touch with the indie community for the past 9 months since I got a full-time job, and it's a creative job too. So a lot of my creative effort has been sucked into that. But for the past 2 shows that I've been on promoting this Kickstarter, I have the topic has come up of AI artwork. And I don't know how huge this is impacting the indie comics community, but it's there. And it's just been some interesting conversations around that. And so that's an issue that I see. Myself personally, it's a tightrope. It depends on how you use it, why you use it. I think in and of itself, it's not a bad thing. I just think you got to be conscious of the factors that go into it.
Gotcha. It's funny. I just got the first. It was Atrocity of Man, I think it's called. It's like the first AI developed comic book.
The Abolition of Man. Yeah,
that's it. Yes, The Abolition of Man.
Yes, so appropriately titled.
Have you seen it? Has anyone seen it?
I've seen a couple of images from it.
Yeah. Oh no, I have the book. I skimmed through it. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. It looks awful.
Too bad.
And I don't know how well the guy writes. I mean, if he's a really good writer, you might be able to pull something off. But storytelling, there's just none of it there. It looks like a jumbled mess. But I haven't read it yet, so I don't know. So I don't want to pass.
It's an exact transcription of C.S. Lewis's Abolition of Man, the book.
Yeah.
So is he a good writer? Yes.
But
but what they're not doing anything with it. All they're doing is copy and pasting the sentences into an AI thing and see what happens.
The story's awesome.
There's no finesse to how they're using the actual tool. They're just experimenting and see what comes out.
Gotcha, but there's no storytelling involved. It was just like, okay, this was weird looking. But like I said, I just got it. I skimmed through it real quick. I get a pile of books every month, and then I just, that one got thrown to the bottom.
Stack up.
Oh yeah.
To be read file is always big.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So
my wife always says, "Did you read the books you got last week?" I'm like, not yet. I get to them eventually. She's like, why would you buy more books before you read the ones before? I'm like, you don't understand. These books just came out. I have to get them.
You gotta get them before somebody else does, right?
Yeah. If you don't put so much stuff on my honey-do list, maybe I can read it.
You have to explain to her, those books are for 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's in queue.
They're in the queue, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Working into the future here.
Yeah, exactly. Alan, what are your thoughts on that question? What do you see that's either positive or negative that's going on in the industry?
It's kind of a weird thing, and I don't think anybody really thinks about it, but we always say it to each other. A lot of us, I'm always talking to guys, and it's like, oh, I've had some health problems, or it's like some guys kind of like aren't able to like step up and keep up with their stuff because of health problems. And I'm like, well, that happened to me too. This year I had a couple of surgeries, and it's like it completely blew my whole year. But I'm still getting some stuff done nevertheless. But I'm constantly talking to guys, and they're like, oh, I've had some health problems, had some health issues. And it's like, health issues are really it just seems like everywhere I turn, somebody's got a health issue. And I don't think these guys are just using it as an excuse for like not getting their work done. I think people are really having health issues. It's like, what is going on with people's health? It's like, what is going on? It's like,
and mental health too.
Well, yeah, that's a part of it.
That's part of it. Yeah.
I mean, I have a little of that too, but it's a lot of that actually. But mental and physical health, and it's just like it really seems. It obviously can sidetrack, derail, or completely screw up your momentum. If you've got a product going and you're like, oh, I'm putting out this book every so often, and then all of a sudden it's like a lot more time goes by than you want, and it's because you were unable to physically or mentally do it. And it's like, I see a lot of that. I mean, hearing a lot of that, and I'm just like, how do we get ourselves healthier again? What's happening that we're all so unhealthy physically and mentally, and how do we how do we bolster that within, at least within the comics community, within indie comics? Is there something we could be doing that would get us back, get our shit pulled back together?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just I visited a doctor a couple weeks ago, and I got some bad news, and I went on a keto diet. I've been working out every day since, and we're gonna see what happens. But that's the only thing you can do. Try to eat better, exercise,
right?
and just keep moving
Sitting
forward.
in the chair too long, right?
Yeah, I get all these mental things, and it's like they want you to do all these things, and it's like if I did everything that I've been given to do to take care of my mental health, I would never have time to produce anything. It's like all this stuff. So you got to kind of pick and choose what things will actually have the most impact for you in the least amount of time.
Yeah,
that's kind of that comes down to that too. It's like there's just never enough time. Time's a big issue.
Right.
But things that affect that time or delay that time, that's really a thing, and you reach a point where you're like going, I'm seeing more time, piling up behind me than I am ahead of me. And I'm starting to kind of, I need to get my ass in gear here.
Yeah. I had that particular crisis a few years ago when I realized I had more time behind me than ahead of me. So it's just like, it's one of those things where it's just like, Jesus. Okay.
None of us knows, I mean,
No.
you just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, no matter what,
Yeah.
You don't know, but it's like, why am I taking that for granted? I can't take for granted that I got as much time as I think I do out there ahead of me, but I got so much stuff I want to do and so much stuff I want to say and tell and show people that I think that, it's like, and for me, it's like, I'm just trying to make people happy or give them something that they'll enjoy. It's like, it's not even about getting rich. I don't expect to get rich doing comics or anything like that. I'm doing something because I enjoy doing it and because I think that I've got stuff that other people will enjoy getting, and that's really it. And I'm like, how am I going to make that all happen?
Yep.
It's really a challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, people always say, what superpower would you want? I always want time stop. So I can just stop and go, okay, this 1 hour I have, I'm going to make it last, 10 hours and work on my comic, get it done today.
Yeah.
I would
in that 1 hour.
I would take that or the power of multiple man, where I could have several of me going,
have a whole crew.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
say. Me doing that over there, and then me doing that over there, and it's like, okay, good. If I had 4 or 5 of me going,
but then the one that is stuck doing all the yard work is going to be really mad, and he's going to plot against the other ones.
Now you got to rotate. You got to rotate. Everybody's going to take their turn claiming the urinal takes.
Hey, if you're triplicate girl though, you split and then you come back together and everybody just they share the same experience. So there you go. The person who did the yard work, they'll feel like they did all the creative stuff too.
There you go.
I guess I'm the simple one because I just want to fly so I can avoid traffic.
There you go.
Not in Wisconsin, you'd freeze.
I'm scared of the flying thing because what if that stopped working? That's the only thing.
All right, so then float. What was the Jerry O'Connell show? My Secret Identity. Let me just float so I can avoid traffic and only do about 20 miles. That's all I fucking need.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Teleport.
Have you ever dreamt that
teleport would be really nice?
Have you ever dreamt that you could fly, that you were actually just flying?
All the time.
Have you ever had that dream? It's the coolest dream. It's like,
but then I also take shits on the people that piss me off. So I mean, I think
like a pigeon. You'd be the pigeon.
That's a really big pigeon, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Imagine me taking a shit on your windshield because you cut me the fuck off. I just,
Hey, I never cut you off, so explain my windshield, man. What was that all about?
Well, let me tell you, if he took a shit on your windshield, you wouldn't have one.
No. I just wiped it off with a urinal cake.
Go right through.
Oh, God.
You see, it comes back to urinal cake. Joe, it's selling. It's trending. Make money on
It's trending.
Don't avoid that shit, Joe.
I totally have an idea to use it now, too. So.
All right, Joe, you got any thoughts on that question?
The only thing that comes to mind, is like the big hits in whether it's Indiegogo, whether it's Kickstarter, whether it's the like Eric July's he didn't use either, and he just made like 3 million. And it's it puts this this goalpost of some guy who is into comics and he fancies himself a writer to go, oh cool, hey, I got this concept, some knockoff of Superman, I'm gonna make $3 million too. And it's kind of like it's kind of like the AI, except it's a person who just thinks they can just become a comic creator overnight without putting in any work and just go, I got some idea too, and they want to make a whole bunch of money. And it's like, that's not really how it works. And so I think these unrealistic expectations on what it is to become a creator, because back before Kickstarter and all that, there'd be people just standing in line to talk to editors, or they'd be mailing in their stuff. And the guys who would do indie hits back in the day, they were doing black and white because that's the only thing you could afford, and even that was expensive. And I mean, I remember cutting out word bubbles that you would print out and put on a glue stick, put them on the Bristol board, and cut out Zipatone. And that was the indie scene back then. Now it's like, now you just go on Kickstarter and hire someone and think you're going to make $1 million. It's completely different. So what hasn't changed in the indie scene?
So somebody told me
everything.
You got to pay an artist or you got to pay somebody to do whatever it is you don't do. And it's like, and then somebody told me Kickstarter was real and everything changed.
Yeah. I mean, in Eric July's case, I think it's funny because like you can either, in our case, we're earning our way in, right? In his case, he bought his way in because he had to. Those artists he hired were not cheap, right? He said he spent over $100,000 just on art, which I believe.
Good grief.
Right. So I mean, he needed to make that kind of bank to just get over on that, and I'm hoping he pays those guys a royalty, which I'm pretty sure he does. So I mean, all I can say is good on them. Hold on, let me where were we? Something about trash talk, please. I don't know what that's about.
Clicks.
You're talking about that was the answer to your question. What's wrong with indie comics?
Oh, gotcha. Oh, okay, there you go. Trash talk. Because they're competition.
Yep, I agree.
Remember when we laughed over Adobe's Comic Boom program? Oh, right.
Did that even come out?
Those days? No, I don't think it did.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you guys would just share 1 or 2 posts when you dump yours religiously in the comments groups, everyone would see more growth, improve. I guess that's algorithm. Yeah, for the entire industry. There you go. All right. Shawn applauded.
Social network speak there, JD.
Oh yeah, I know. Really, sorry. Some people are milking that shit, and I'm sorry, it's true. I've seen it firsthand. Walk your 30 minutes every day. There you go. It goes back to the health. That was my favorite port bot. Hey, listen, I blocked that guy. I'm gonna find that son of a bitch one day. Look, you get to. I said, look, you got to be insane to do this, which is why I do it. This is why, listen, I was about to tell that to Alin as well. As like, you join the indie community. Yes, you're definitely along with us. All of us are a little unstable.
Oh, yeah.
Indie Comics Network. No, I'm not. I won't be replaced. Did you see the size of that chicken? I think that's Mr. Rosario. There you go.
Yeah, boy.
Which is really funny because they can't fly, but
just shitting on the floor, their ass, baby.
There you go. Jesus, keep it in your house, though. People have a better chance winning the lottery than they do making it big in comics.
Yes,
probably. I never tell people to get into comics to make money. I tell them they will lose money, possibly. And if they stick it out after, maybe they may just have what it takes. There you go. Comic Blast. Sorry, I forgot the name. All
right. We knew what you're talking about. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Lanning.
I knew that was coming. 2 words. What's wrong with the indie comic community or the indie comic? Quality control.
Good call.
Now, you have people. Okay, I understand this is indie comics, and you can do whatever you want to. But when somebody sees a horribly put together book, and they go, "This is an indie book." Look, I got a guy at work, and he thinks there's two different Marvels. He thinks there's some Marvels where everybody's given their power, like Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Thor or whatever. And then he thinks that the mutants are a different Marvel universe. He comes to me all the time like this. And I said, no, they're the same universe. They're in the same, he believes that if they were born that way, they're a different Marvel universe. No, it's the same thing. I've told you 100 times, but whatever. Point being is when people see independent comics, they're going to get an independent comic in their hands. If it is a bad independent comic, that could have a everlasting stain on people as far as independent comics are concerned. Then you go, well, that's not fair. That's not right. How can you judge every independent comic that way? Whether it's fair or it's right, that doesn't matter. It's what's done. And that's the thing. There needs to be quality assurance. There needs to be reviews. There needs to be checks and balances. And if there's not, we're going to continue to see bad actors step into those roles because they think that they can use AI or they can use just bad writing or whatever the case and come into this industry, and they should be welcomed with open arms. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. That's just the case. So quality control.
All right.
As an editor, I would second that. I see stuff all the time, and I'm like, if you guys would have actually got an editor, it was like I see things that's like, this is really good, but with an edit, this would have been great. I see that all the time, and sometimes I've even reached out to guys and said, I could help you a little bit with that, and they're like, no, I got a guy, and I'm like, and I don't want to say, well, your guy sucks, but it's like I'm like, I'm happy to help. It's like, I could really help you. Sometimes it's just friggin' typos and stuff. It's like, it's like, or you're missing words, or it's like your language is incomprehensible. Not even talking about getting into art and storytelling, but it's like, it's you see that stuff, and coming from the editorial background, I'm like, quality control. It's like,
I'm sorry,
wants
Perry.
to pay for that.
Perry, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Look, you talking about gatekeeping is when you let people in, like Marvel or whatever this is doing now, and you have nepotism and everything else like that, and you're letting these people in to do whatever they want, and they're not even doing quality assurance. We're talking about quality assurance. We're not talking. You don't go to a job and say you know how to drive a forklift, and you can't even put it in reverse, and you can't even lift anything with that thing, and you flip it over. No, we're talking about quality assurance. Quality assurance is not gatekeeping. That is a term that is being thrown around. It is not true. Gatekeeping and quality assurance are two different things. Gatekeeping is when you want your friends in. Quality assurance is when you tell your friends it's not good enough. That's the difference.
We're offering help.
How long have you been holding this in, Michael?
I've been hearing it. I've been hearing it.
Look at the fire. I know why my boy is
because that's another thing that's wrong with. That's another thing that's wrong with indie comics is you want to throw around the gatekeeping term like it's okay to just open the gates and everybody. But I put a lot of work into what I do. I'm not the best at what I do. But I went courses. I wanted to learn how to draw. I learned how to draw. I wanted to learn how to write. I took classes to learn how to write. And you come in, you're not knowing how to do any of that shit and say that you should be on the same level as me. Forget you. No, you have to work. And you undermine any work that any of these people in this panel have done. When you come in here and you think that you can do anything that you want to, you can draw stick figures and write the lamest, stupidest crap that doesn't even make any sense and say, I should be up there with you. No. Work to where you get to. You don't put on inflatable muscles and say that you've been working out at the gym. It doesn't work that way. And that's how I feel.
Lord.
Goodness.
You know what? Earlier, I know your wife was sending you to the couch tonight. Now, you gotta get to bed after that statement, brother. Yeah.
No, it's just saying. Everybody, I know everybody on here has worked to be where they're at. I don't even know Evan's stuff, but I can look at that picture and tell Evan knows how to draw. I can listen to Joe, I can listen to Alvin, and they know where they're coming from. And I know you, Jay. So when somebody comes up when they don't have quality work, and they're acting like they should be let in just because they don't have quality work, no. It doesn't work that way. Do the work, get the job done, do it right so you can represent all of us on the right level. That's all I'm saying.
It's kind of like a soldier on the battlefield who's all cut up and his knuckles are all smashed in and he's missing an eye. And this new guy comes in and he's you know, he's got moisturizer on and his hair slicked back all nice. He's like, I can do this. Nobody's going to shoot at me. I'd shoot them first. And you're like, seriously? You have no idea what we just went through. And like, you know, that whole mentality of not respecting what everybody's gone through on the battlefield and thinking, you know, it's that whole thing. Like, you have to go through, I got burned by an artist. My printer didn't ship my stuff on time, so I was just out of luck. You know, my stuff was printed wrong. I misspelled the word "the" in my book, and I put it out that way.
My artist ghosted me.
Yeah,
I had to like find someone to finish the book
in the middle of the book. You know,
you get a quality control, right? You offered people 100% refund guaranteed if they don't like the book, and you got to stand by that word. And now you got to eat giving away 60%, and you learn how not to give away that 60%, but still stand by it on your next release.
But I can answer his other question too. So how do you plan to keep AI artists or whatever out of indie comics? I'm going to produce quality.
There you go.
Because and I'm going to produce quality and I'm going to get it out there. Because when quality and everything gets out there, now they have to, their checks and balances, and you become the standard.
Yeah,
and that's the case. And then they'll go away because they're not getting anything. That's how you solve that problem.
I think I'm gonna have to chop out that segment and just put it up as a short.
That was great.
I'm not trying to go. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not like mad, but that's just what I see. You know,
you earned that massage from your wife tonight, brother. Way to go, baby.
Clearly, gatekeeping is a trigger word for you. So.
but you just can't. It's not, because yes, there is, that does exist. You know,
sure it does.
It does, and but you can't just title everything gatekeeping. Right?
That's what people do.
Also,
now.
we're not in charge.
It doesn't belong.
We're not in charge. You know, anyone can put out any book, and we can't stop them. So it's not like
that's the thing.
We set the. You know, you can't do that. You know.
Yeah, no, right.
There's no indie committee that's like telling you, like, you know, sorry, that can't be produced.
Right.
You know, that doesn't exist.
It doesn't happen.
Right.
It's just like saying, you think this movie sucks. Oh, you're gatekeeping. No, I just think the movie sucks.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping them from making it. I'm just stopping myself from watching it. That's all.
Yeah.
All right, Jay, what do you got for the question?
All right. Well, you know what? Lanning was talking about quality control. Let's talk about fan base control, right? And how many people are depending on their fan base coming from other platforms, as opposed to generating, you know, their own newsletter where they can reach out to their customers directly. Just as an example, you know, this mass exodus that's happening on Twitter in these last few weeks, right? People saying, I'm not coming back to their platform. But how many hours did you put into building and cultivating a community on Twitter itself, a platform that you don't own? And to add to that, forgot about the lessons you learned when everyone vacated Tumblr, because I know a ton of people put hours of time into cultivating a community on Tumblr, and whether it's, you know, a change of ownership or a pivot in direction of what the platform is trying to do, right? You're losing all those hours that you put into developing a connection with those people on that platform. So if you remove the platform from the equation and you go to generating your own newsletter where you can reach your fan base, your community directly, right, without any gatekeepers in the way, you know, and the platform that's what it is, right? It is a barrier for you to keep you from going DTC. And if you can reach them directly, then you don't have to worry about whether this platform that you're utilizing pivots or this other platform changes ownership, right? And you're losing all of those hours because you've put the majority of those hours into cultivating a community directly in your own newsletter. Your newsletter is key. I mean, how many people, if there are X's and O's in independent comic books, it's learning how to balance the creative side with the business side.
Yeah.
Today, you know, in this panel that I was at the convention today, I don't want to say it hurts. I don't want to say, that it's shocking and jarring, but so many people go into this because they love it and they have a passion, and it's great that they do. But if they don't understand the O's, right? Even if it is college business 101, you're going to get fleeced. You're going to lose your shirt, and you will forget about turning a profit. You're not even going to break even, right? You're gonna die on the vine. You got to learn that side, and cultivating your fan base personally, directly through newsletter is one of those business elements that you need to understand.
That's a lesson I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get better at that, because I'm not that good at that part of it, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I do it for a living, and it's like, but I do it for my own stuff. For some reason, I'm like, what?
And it sometimes it comes from you're just so caught up in the day to day of making sure I get this done, making sure I get this done. I mean, all the hats that we wear. And now it's my turn to rant. Where's my wife? I don't my wife. But it comes down to the point where how many of the professionals that are out there doing work for the bigger companies cannot wear one of the hats that we're wearing.
No,
right? They have
can't.
an entire marketing team behind them pushing their product. And here we are. We're grounding it out our fucking selves, right? We're wearing 20 hats sometimes in a day to make sure that our product is up to snuff, right?
It's a great talk.
That it's worth the 2 bits that you're putting into buying my stuff.
Yes.
Right?
That's a great talk. It's a great motivational thing, because I don't think about that sometimes when I'm like in the middle of a track, like I'm juggling all of those hats and I'm going, oh, this is so frustrating. I can't do this well enough, and I'm not doing that well. It's like, wait a minute, you are doing all of these things, and it's like, stop and remind yourself of that. It's like when you actually are doing all those things. Like, a lot of guys aren't doing that.
You do. I mean, look for again to go back for an example of this. How many writers in the big 2 can pop out 5 scripts in a month? Well, they can do that because they're not managing all these other things, right? There's that infrastructure that is behind them, building that, and we are doing it ourselves. Same thing with an artist. Okay, you know what? Bagley was different than anybody else. Bagley, at his peak, he was able to do 2 books and quite a few pinups or fill-in pages a month, right? He was putting out almost 60 pages in a month. Wow, would he have been able to do that if he didn't have the team behind him? And this is not a mark. This is not a knock on Bagley. He's in my Mount Rushmore. I know a lot of people are shocked, right? But he's my fucking dude, man. He's a workhorse and a fucking half. But he wouldn't have been able to have done everything he has done if he didn't have that team, that infrastructure behind him.
And there are a lot of guys that are just crapping out a thing, and it's like, and it'll go out on Kickstarter, for example, and make like 6 figures, and you're going, how in the hell are they doing it? Well, okay, because they've got like a whole team or a company behind them,
right?
And
or
it's
a YouTube channel.
They're just crapping out the one thing, and it's like, and that's it. And then the whole team takes over and does everything else for them. So it's like, that's a lot easier, to like do all of the promotion and like generate all the.
Charlie Stickney, right? The former EIC of one of the lower tier publishers. I'm not sure if it was AWA or after Scout, right?
No.
He's doing upper 5 figures per launch. You don't think some of that team from Scout came back to help them, with the logistics and the infrastructure of his releases? Did he have a platform before he went to Scout? Yes. But you can look at those numbers prior to Scout, and you can look at those numbers now, right? His last book, I think, was $68,000, $78,000, something like that, right? But he's not doing that all by himself. He's got a team that's helping him. And again, this is not a knock on Stickney. This is not me trying to tear down his buildings to build mine up. Good on you for doing that. Good on you for cultivating the team to help you get to that. God bless you. You know what I mean? Not everybody has that, and not everybody in the upper echelons, or what the greater populace think is the upper echelons, can do that.
And it's not fair to compare yourself to that and then beat yourself up about it. That's kind of the positive takeaway from the speech, from the talk you're giving here now. It's like, the motivation here is like, don't try to compare yourself to guys that have that advantage. There's nothing wrong with them if they do, but if you don't have that advantage, just
But also to tack on to what you're saying, Alan, there are some days that, yes, I do get lost in the sauce, and I do end up going down the dark hole. And I'm like, fuck me with this and that and the other, right? And that happens because you're wearing so many hats, right? And putting them on during the course of the day and taking them off, you just get lost in your own wheel.
You totally do.
Jay, I'm gonna have to kick out your soapbox, all right? And we have to move on.
Fuck this, I'm out of here. God damn.
Alin. I mean, not Alin.
Evan,
you're up.
all right, awesome. Thank you, guys.
Do you want me to play the video?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Just give me a second.
Yeah, so that's a little overview of the Black Blossom, which is my main character. And this is a Kickstarter to launch the printed version of the graphic novel. So hold on just a second, because I have got actually a better video that I'm going to send you. I was going to
say that.
Yeah, thank you.
Here, if you want to work on that, Evan, so let me know when you got it. But this is issues 1 through 3 of the regular floppy issues in a trade paper form. No,
this is 1 through 6.
1 through 6.
The annual. Yes.
Plus the annual. What did I say?
1 through 3.
What time is it? I'm tired.
So I sent the other video in the private chat.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yes, but yes, it's 1 through 6, the annual, and then there is some back matter in there, and all the what do you call it, the variant covers and a bunch of extra art stuff. So hopefully you guys will like that. Can we go ahead and play that second video, because that'll just give me a nice foundation to build any further discussion on.
Hold on. My backup is out. Hold on.
Not a problem. So you can see there the art. We're looking to raise $4,000. This is not only going to produce the graphic novel, but also the single floppy of the annual as well. So if you've been collecting the physical copies beforehand, you can continue to get all the floppies there. But the graphic novel not only includes what we just talked about, but it also has a 4-page special story that was in a compilation issue. That we put out in Starcross, and it's got like a little origin story for how the Black Blossom first got her suit, because the graphic novel, the official issues kind of start off with like a James Bond kind of opening where it just jumps in and you get to see what she can do in action. Okay, so watch this and then we'll talk from there. Oh, I think the volume.
Is there sound?
Yes, there is sound. There's supposed to be sound.
No sound.
I'm not.
The Battler.
There we go.
Waiting, Dating, and Mating, which you can all find on Comixology. I'm also the co-creative director and head writer on an audio drama series called Base Camp Adventures, and I'm a host on the Strangers and Aliens podcast. So what is The Black Blossom? The Black Blossom is an all-ages superhero comic that takes itself seriously, with a writing style inspired by Brian Michael Bendis' Ultimate Spider-Man, and a tone similar to Bruce Timm's Justice League Unlimited animated series. The main character is named Michi Hidaka, a female Pacific Islander protagonist. She dons a super suit with powers and abilities that are a mix of Venom and Iron Man. The character is inspired by my wife, who is a really awesome, adventurous, tough person, but is terrified of lizards. That's what gave me the initial idea. I thought, what if we had this awesome, cool, tough superhero who fights giant monsters, but if a little lizard crosses her path, nope, she's out. So that's where I got the germ of the idea. Another inspiration for this series is my Christianity. and thinking about the concept of extrapolating science fiction from a creationist point of view. In comics like the X-Men and such, all of their science fiction is extrapolated from evolution. I thought, what if we do the opposite and see where that takes us? So we get some cool world building coming out of that throughout the series. This series is a fun, lighthearted, epic action adventure with lots of heart, humor, and of course, explosions. I hope you will enjoy it. I hope you'll support it. Issues 7 through 9 have already been written and are just waiting to get drawn. The series will continue. Thank you so much for your support.
Thanks for playing that. And that video is a little out of date. 7 and 9 have now been drawn. They are completely illustrated. So we're just waiting to release them after the graphic novel campaign. So yeah, it's fun. It's based on my wife. I really my favorite character ever is Superman, but my favorite comic series ever is Ultimate Spider-Man. So I really tried to take inspiration from both those things and combine them. And then of course we've got the unique, I think, world building stuff. So like you take, for instance, we talked about the Christian creationist point of view. Just take one element of that, just one, which is, if you look at the biblical timeline, it says the Earth's maybe only 6,000 years old. You take that concept, and you're like, whoa, okay, how does that affect every science fiction concept we've already, we usually look at, and it takes it in a whole new direction. So, or aliens, right? The Bible says, well, okay, God only made humans on the planet Earth. Yet this series has aliens in it. How does that jive? How does that work? How did we come up with that? So there's some cool concepts in here that I think you guys will like. And of course, there's lots of action and fun, and like I said, the Venom and Iron Man kind of mixed powers. I actually got inspiration from her powers from an old obscure Superboy villain named the Silver Sword, which is pretty silly. And coincidentally, that character's also from Hawaii, but obviously I got the heritage for the character.
Man, who drew that cover? That must be a really good artist.
Yeah, that artist is pretty awesome. That's a Joe Spicer cover right there. Actually, when I first started the series, I was drawing the interiors, but and one of you guys complimented the art, saying Evan's a good artist. I am a passable artist, but this is not my art. But
you still quality checked it, right?
Yes,
you just put it on there.
That's right.
There you go.
My art is not up to my own standards, so I eventually hired somebody to redraw issue number 1.
There you go. You quality assured yourself. There you go.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Very nice.
So yeah, I hope you guys will, anyone watching this will check it out, support it. So far, we're a quarter of the way there and over halfway through with the Kickstarter. So I will say, one way or another, even if the Kickstarter does not reach its goal, the Kickstarter is only for the print run. So if you want the story, it will be released digitally no matter what. And I'll probably put it up on some sort of, print on demand thing, which, it'll still get you the printed copy. It'll just be a lot more expensive for you, the buyer, because of the cost of the print on demand service. But yeah, I also have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/EvanDavidComics. And if you are strapped and you want to support this and you got to pick between the Kickstarter and the Patreon, please pick the Patreon, because the Patreon is actually funding the artwork and it actually gets the comic out there. So that will keep the series going. It'll keep it releasing, but it would be nice to get some printed graphic novels out there. This is my first graphic novel. I'm very excited about it. And this is just a fun series close to my heart. So
now, how many pages is the graphic novel?
I think it's about 200.
It's a nice sized book.
Oh man, yeah, it's each issues, I think 22 to 24 pages, and like it's 7 issues, and plus the back matter, plus a couple of extra bonus stories. So,
and he does 4 other series too.
I do.
All humbly and everything. I do.
Well, with some of the rewards here for the Kickstarter, you will get some free digital copies of my other comics. One of them is Urg the Battler, which is a sword and sandal Conan the Barbarian style adventure, also based in a biblical worldview where it's in between the creation of the world and the Noah's flood, which the Bible says there's like a half, or no, not a half, a full millennium of history that is unrecorded in there, and with dinosaurs and angels running amok and all that stuff. So it's some fun concepts to play with. And then
between Eden and the flood.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because I thought you said between. Okay.
Yeah. Between creation and the flood. Yeah.
Okay.
And then my other one is I say Black Blossom is my favorite, but this one might be a tie, which is Outed, which is an idea I had. I wanted to merge the Superman family and the Fantastic Four family. And I wrote the series before my good esteemed colleague, Brian Michael Bendis, revealed Superman's identity to everybody. But the series is Outed, where it's the Superman family gets their identities outed and they live in a public place, a public address. And how does that affect, like the Fantastic Four, and how does that affect them? And it's very fun. And I am stretching it, calling Brian Michael Bendis my esteemed colleague, because obviously he's a super famous comic book writer and I'm just doing this, but still having lots of fun. And I take a lot of inspiration from his writing style as well in my dialogue. I really like the way he dialogues his characters. Yeah, anyway,
he started in Indies too, so you never know. It can happen.
Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. And again, talking about what we were talking about before, I'm not in this to make money. I'm in this to share the stories and get it out there. So, yep. I hope you guys will enjoy it. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise,
I love that. I love that it's inspired by your wife. That's really cool. It's a great tribute. What happens if she runs up against a giant lizard adversary?
Well, you'll find that out in issue number 2.
That would have to happen, right?
Yep. Issue number 2. It's going to be fun. Yes, she's not a comic book person. She is. We're very much the opposites attract, but she's enjoyed being a comic book character, and she's endorsed everything we've done with the comic. JD, if you see there, I've got some graphics up on that I've uploaded. I don't know if you can click that real quick. I've got a cool cover here that shows the there you go.
Excellent. That's great.
Yeah. So I got some great covers here. Adrian Fernandez did that. Yeah, go ahead and click through it. There's the annual will look like with all the title treatment. That's the cover of the graphic novel.
Cool.
I think I've got a couple other. Yeah, we already saw that there on the Kickstarter page. So yeah, very, very excited. I love this character. Obviously, it's based on my wife, so I have to love it. But
there's no choice. It's all yours.
Yes, but I really like the arc, how the story's going, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. And again, 7 through 9 have been illustrated. They're all ready to go. I've written up to issue 16. My goal is to get to issue 50 and tell a complete story. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Now this particular trade, does it cover one arc?
Yes.
Story?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Right.
And it's like I said, it's based on my Christian beliefs. I try to in issues 1 through 6, the story comes first. We talked about this in a couple other shows I've been to. It's hard, and it's one of those things I think the comic industry, the mainstream comic industry, is currently struggling with. Is if you are trying to push a message first instead of a story, it can affect how people, enjoy it. So I try to put story first, and of course, as a Christian, everything I believe is going to come out in some way or another in my writing. But I did make a point to put, the official message of my faith in the annual, which is why it's in the annual, so that if you don't want to, go dive that deep into it, you can just read, the main series and skip the annual. But the annual's there, and it's a very, even though it does, it's pretty overt in the annual. Even though that is in there, I think it's done in a way that is very organic to the character, and it's something that she has to talk through, and that's basically what the annual is, and it's going to affect her state of mind going forward. And I think it's a good character moment for her. Lots of dramatic moments. So hopefully, even if you are not a Christian or not even interested in that sort of thing, you will still enjoy that, and it'll be a powerful moment if you're following the character. So,
all right, cool. Listen, looks like a fantastic book. The artwork looks great. I mean, I don't know about the writing, but we'll see. And you will be judged. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Quality control. You guys tell me whether or not it's good to go or not. So,
all right.
Oh, this looks cool.
Wow.
So Alin,
Whoa, what happened there?
you're up, sir.
This looks a lot darker. Okay, we took a turn from the dark. From that to this. How this started, a couple of background stories about this, how this came to be. I was in a Target or something, and they had like this black plastic pumpkin. It was around Halloween. I think it was 2 years ago, not a year ago. And I saw this black plastic pumpkin, and it just popped into my head. Oh, if you turned it into a jack-o'-lantern, it would be a black-o'-lantern. So I came up with this character with a black pumpkin head and a scythe and everything. And I started creating this character. And then I was like looking around. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. There's a lot of guys out there with like Halloween, like pumpkin head characters and stuff. So I asked around to a bunch of guys. And the next thing I knew, I had a bunch of guys that are like, yeah, I got a Halloween type of guy. Or a guy
I got one too.
And, it's like, yeah, it's like we want more of them, but I got as many as I could at the time, and then we got it started, and then it kind of put on a back shelf because there's a lot of creators that had characters in this. It was like kind of back shelf for different reasons. And then we got it kind of this year, we got it like kind of pulled back together, and everybody's like, well, who are we going to get for an artist for this? And I'm like, well, I was in Dublin in 2019, and I met this kid who was drawing stuff, and I was like, this guy's going someplace someday. This guy's got some great stuff happening here. And so I've kept in touch with him. He's a really nice guy from Ireland, and I reached out to him. In the meantime, I had paid Arnaldo Jr., as the guy who did all these shots you're looking at right now. I had him do a pinup of all the characters of the guys who were actually participating, and he did these great pinups, and we had him just sitting there for a while. But then we came to time to start drawing the comic and going on, and I'm like, well, who can we get? Who can we afford? And I'm like, well, I met this guy in Ireland, and I talked to him, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'd love to do it. And he jumped in and he did that cover, and we started showing that cover around, and people were like, oh my God. And it's like, and now people just love his stuff. And it's like, he's a fantastic artist, amazing talent. And so we were like, okay, well, everybody gave me all of their characters, and I took all their characters, and I kind of looked at all of their backgrounds and all their stories, and I'm like, how can I tie this into one story and make a cohesive story that's like a, kind of like basically a Halloween tributed story? And it turned out, that's something I like to do. It's like, what can I take and add and make it work in a new way? So I did that, and I started that, and I'm like, okay, so here's the story, here's our idea, and they're like, well, let's go, let's get it up there. And so we started getting a few pages drawn, got a cover drawn, and we put it up on Kickstarter. And we were like, okay, we've got the book, and we've got some really talented artists offering to do commissions. And then we're like, let's get some cameos in here, because this is the perfect book that lends itself for cameos. There's a lot of guys out there still with Halloween themed characters and stuff. So we're like, let's get guys who have these guys and see if they want to do some cameos and get them in there. And then see where it goes. And it turned into like, okay, well, we got this story. It's going to be longer than it would. My original idea was to do like a double sized, like a 48 page book or something. And they're like, oh, we can't really do that. And I'm like, okay, well, then let's do it in 2 parts. So we split it up into 2 parts. There's going to be part 1 and part 2. and this is just part one, and we got it out there, and essentially what I did was I looked at the characters and thought, what makes sense, and this character that you're seeing here, Saint Samhain, is like he's like a lieutenant of death or a former lieutenant of death, and he's looking to expand his power base. And I'm like, well, if we're doing a Halloween thing, it's like, they always talk about how the veils between the worlds are thin, but it's like usually we're just talking about between the worlds of the living and the dead. And I'm like, what if it's between multiple universes? And it's like you can scrape up all of the souls from one universe, or you can find a way to break through. And there's another character that gave us the opportunity to do this, and that's what you see in that book in Dr. Spectral, which gave him a book, and it's like, oh, what if we made a thing in there that like the power to break into other universes and then go exponential with like oh, I can gather souls on like an exponential basis, like infinite souls. So it's like boom, we got a story. And then I was like, okay, now I've got these characters, and they're gonna have to go. He's got his allies, and then there's like 5 villains and 5 heroes, and it's like he's got his allies, and we've got their heroes, and they've got to go after him and stop him, but they're gonna have to chase through multiple universes to do it. And I was like, you remember those old, some of you guys may not remember this, but these old stories that are really cool. There was like this, who wrote it? Is it Len Wein, I believe, wrote it. The Seven Soldiers of Victory. It's an old, like, Justice League, Justice Society story where they had like their heroes got kind of like scattered through time, and they had to like, each one of them had to accomplish a task and get back. And I'm like, oh, this would be really fun to do this through multi-universes. It's like, so each of the characters is going to get scattered through, and it's going to be a thing they have to overcome to get a piece of something. And it's like the villains are chasing it and the heroes are chasing it. So it's kind of like an amazing race through multiple universes to save lives, the entire lives of entire universes. And then you've got creepy, eerie characters with some weird things, and we're just like, let's play into it. Let's do it. Let's just lean right into the weird and the creepy and the dark. So we're going with it, and so we got a few pages drawn up, and they're a lot of fun. The characters are really fun, and it's from several creators who you've seen put out projects and or be part of projects, and we're just like, yeah, these are the guys who want to do this with. So we went.
Cool.
No,
I do like Jill O'Lantern. That's great.
Jill O'Lantern.
Yeah, that's Rodney Lockett's character. That was one of the other pumpkin heads that I first saw. I'm like, oh, okay, so we've got Jack and Jill O'Lantern. It's like I've got a Black O'Lantern, and it's like I was trying for my first goal here was to get as many Pumpkinhead characters as I could get. Was it Jay Piscopo who had one? And he was like, well, I couldn't really participate, but I got this character. And it's like, oh, that's a really cool character too. And it's like, oh, and then now now that we're out there and more people have seen this, they're like, oh, I've got that kind of character. And I'm like, oh, where were you when I was putting this together?
Yeah, I wish I would have known. I got to instant message you.
Do it. Instant message me, because
yeah.
Now I'm hearing from a lot of guys that are backing this, going, they want to see more. It's like, so this is a storyline that's like self-contained, and it's like it's got like a beginning and an end in a 2-issue arc. But it's like, if we were to do something more and go forward, there's room for more guys to jump in and be a part of this. You can still be cameos in this, but we're now I'm thinking, it's like, well, maybe we do something more going down the line with a group of supernatural defendants doing things. And it's like, so I'm kind of like looking at like what could be done with that. So that would be kind of fun.
Awesome.
So how many pages is this issue?
This one is going to be 24, and then the second one is going to be 24 pages.
Very nice. Very nice.
But some of those, there'll be some pinups on some of those pages.
Can I ask, are they individual stories, or is it one story?
It's one story.
It's one story.
It's one story that'll have multiple parts. It's like you'll have to follow different. We're going to go different places, but but it is all one story. It is all one cohesive, long line of story that will have a conclusion.
All right.
And what else what am I forgetting to say? Oh, well, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but I think some of the fun is going to be people are going to enjoy watching these characters bounce off of each other because they've never met, and they're going to be reacting to each other too. And it's like, how are they going to figure out how to work together and stuff? And it's like that's going to be kind of fun.
Nice.
And what works and what doesn't work, and what and the other little trick is going to come from our backers, because we've got key role cameos that we threw out there, and it's like, so some of the things that these guys are going to have to face are going to be based on what we get from our backers. And it's like, okay, now how am I going to make that work in the story? Which I've never done. This is the first time I've done a comic that I didn't already have completely done before I put it on Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of going to be fun because I'm going to be able to play off of the backers, which is really cool. It's kind of like when you're doing a comic, the way we used to do it at Marvel. And I used to love watching this happen. For example, Peter David, when we were working on the Hulk during the time that Dale Keown was the artist, Peter David would write a script and we'd send it to Dale Keown, and then Dale Keown would send the art back, and Peter David would look at that, and then he'd script it based on the art that he got back, not the script that he originally wrote. So he got to play off of the artist, and then it became even better and a lot more fun. And it's like that kind of interplay where it's not just you working in a void. It just added a whole dimension of fun and quality to the stories, I think. And I'm going to have that kind of opportunity with this project, because it's like, well, what do we, it's like, even from the beginning, it's like, well, what did the guys who are participating send me that I can play off? But now it's going to be like cameos from backers. It's like, what did they send me that I can play off and use? How can I work that and twist that and make that fun that fits into the story? And it's like, I like the challenge of it. And I love the way that makes you kind of like, rise into a new.
Are those cameos still going into this issue? Or is that a future issue?
You're going into this issue.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Get on it, Joe.
The key roles are kind of filled for this issue, but there are,
right.
Some just flash cameos, but I'm going to try to play those up as much as possible. But that, they're the second issue is coming. So we'll make key roles available for that one too. And, we're going to look at some things and maybe even reach out to some of you guys that have the right kind of things and go, what would you like to do? What can we maybe do with you, in the future?
So Alin, how hard was it hurting that particular group of cats to agree to let you use their characters?
No, they were wonderful about it. They all kind of came forward and they jumped in. Every one of them was like very enthusiastic, and they've been pretty easy going about letting me, it's like, they'll tell me like what their thing is and how their guy would, one of the things I asked is like, how would your guy talk? How would he react to this? How would he be? And, we talked back and forth. I talked with each one of them and I'm like, okay, got a good sense. What if he did something like this? Or what if it was something like this? And they were like, oh yeah, I love that. Like, for example, if you scroll down, you can show Mr. October, Andrew Rowland threw him in, and it's like, and I just loved this character. He's right here on the little lower, right on the bottom right corner there, Mr. October. And he's like, well, he's kind of like a Batman gadget guy. And I'm like, he's got this blade that he pops out and stuff. And I'm like, well, what else has he got? And he's like, oh, I don't really know. And I'm like, what if he had these spider grenades, because you have the Green Goblin with pumpkin grenades. It's like that. No. But I'm like, well, what if we had these spider grenades that have these little, their legs are actually like little clamps. So when he throws at something, it clutches on and it can't be just knocked off and run away from it. It actually holds on and then it blows up. And he's like, I love that. So you see him there. It's like, he's holding one of those little spider grenades, and he let me, kind of throw that in there on his character. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's going to be a lot of fun. Nice. And I'm like, and he's not quite as supernatural as the other characters. And I'm like, okay, so okay, so he could be like the Indiana Jones of the series kind of like thing. It's like, he's just kind of surrounded by all this wild, weird stuff. But he's just like, he's like really good at getting through it all. But at the same time, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have magic and stuff. He's not like, He's not like that. We got Night Demon in there. He has the two guns. And there's a really funny, really quirky bit about those. Those guns have they're sentient. They have their own personalities, which I was like, well, let's play. What if I played him a little bit snarky? And he's like, that's exactly what I'm thinking. And that's from Carlos Raphael, who's done the new Remarkables and Power Company, which is Power Company is another thing where it's a multiple creator kind of thing, which I love doing that. I think that's kind of fun. Is getting together with other guys and getting their stuff and then kind of like bringing it all together and seeing how it plays out. I've always loved that. That was one of my favorite things growing up about superheroes or comic books. I mean, just watching these team books. I always liked the team books the best because what was the most fascinating for me was watching the interplay between the characters. It's like I like the action, sure, but the interplay between the characters was like that's kind of fun. So I'm like, how much room do I have to interject some of that here? It's like, and tell the story. It's like, hopefully I have enough to get at least a couple of lines in between each character, just how they react to each other and what they think of each other. That's to me, that's a little bit, that's that little bit extra. It makes teams kind of fun. But as you see, it starts here with Saint Samhain attacking Dr. Spectral. And then these are basically, it's Saint Samhain is a Roy Johnson character, and Dr. Spectral is a Rodney Lockett character. And they basically kind of became the focal points for me for the lead of the villains and the heroes. And I'm like, well, let's see it. So like, let's start the book with Saint Samhain killing Dr. Spectral. And it's like, but it's multiple universes. So is it our Dr. Spectral? But he gets what he needs from that Dr. Spectral to start the whole process going. And it's that book. So,
so what kind of turnaround are you looking on this? Like, cause I know you have to write the script.
Yeah.
Right. And your artist got to still illustrate it. So, I mean, what type of turnaround are you looking on this?
Well, we got obviously we got a few pages that we were able to jump ahead of when cameos would start to appear. Reese has been amazingly fast on turning these pages around. And then Peyton Freeman is our Peyton Manning. Yeah, we got every time I think of that, I think of Peyton, I think of Peyton Manning. But yeah, Peyton Freeman's he's really fast at turning these around. And then it's just going to be a matter of lettering to get the books out. So I'm thinking, fingers crossed, and you don't want to jinx anything, knock on wood. We can knock this around pretty fast. We put down a date of having it to you by next Halloween. Hopefully it'll be a lot sooner than that. It's a matter of printing and all that stuff. And of course, again, we're at the whim of backers who have cameos. It's like, how fast are these guys going to get us their stuff that we need, to do that. So that can be a little bit of a delay, but so far we've got guys that are already asking when and where do I send this stuff. So I'm like, I think guys are already lined up for that, so I don't think that's going to be a big issue. And we'll push it, and make sure that we get that stuff in. And then it's like, boom. Okay. And then it's my mind churning, and it's like, my mind is always churning. So I'll be like, okay, this guy's wild. This guy's weird. Let me put him here and do this with him, and then I just got to go back to the creator, go, is this okay? I'm going to try to do this with him. And, I always, use the caveat that this is a multi-universe type of a thing. So even if it's not something that would be normal to your character, there's a little option, there's a little wiggle room for it to be a little bit off and a little bit different. It's like Rodney let me kill his character off in the first couple of pages, and it's like, well, it's not actually his character. It's an alternate version of his character. It's one of the fun things about, being able to play around with multiple universes and stuff. Yeah. It's like you can do different things like that, but
sounds like a lot of fun.
It is fun. It's really fun. And one of the things that a lot of people seem to really be glomming onto, I love that there's all these public domain characters out there, people a lot of people are using, And I was looking at some of those guys a while back, and Chris Mulgrain is putting out these books where he's kind of like really highlighting a lot of these guys. And I was looking through some of those guys, and I'm going, I see a lot of people using the Black Terror. He's like all over the place. And I was looking at him, and I'm going, he's such a cool character. But then I'm like, then there's this Nightmare character, and I'm like, he's kind of neat. He's different. And I'm like, what would happen if I did a mashup of the two of them? And they called him Night Terror. And that's where you got the character you see there with the sword and the whip and the crossbones and the kind of the phosphorescent glow, like dark otherwise. And I'm like, so I created that guy, and I had Chris Mulgrain do the drawing for him. And he's just turned out to be really fun, and people have really glommed onto him. I've showed him like in some of the public domain places, and people are really loving him. And I'm like, okay, good. All right, that's fun. He's a fun character. He's going to be kind of weird. These are all offbeat, weird characters. Every one of them are just strange. And for the most part, they're going to be a little bit weird, a little bit different. And hopefully the story is going to be completely quirky and weird and different. It's like for me, the best way to do a dark or ghostly story is to have a little bit of humor thrown in here and there. It's like that kind of like you don't, there's all this dark stuff going on, but there's this moment of laughter or something's kind of funny. I'm like, I like that. That to me, it just creates that contrast in the story, that depth of contrast. Mm-hmm. So let me see how much of that I can get in here, with some of these guys,
Yeah, no, it looks awesome, man. I mean, you've already hit your goal, so hopefully you get a bit more in there.
Yeah, we'd love to get some more in there. We want everybody to get a chance to get in there. And again, we're still interested in people that haven't heard about it being interested, and there is of course a second issue coming, and more opportunities for people to jump around and get in there and stuff and take a look. But overall, I think you're really going to love, what Reese is doing with the art. It's insane. Great. Yeah, his level of art is crazy good.
Nice. Jay, I saw you dropped out. I'm sorry, I was on the other screen.
No love, baby. No love. I'm here.
It's like watching the Brady Bunch here. It's like everybody bumped down.
All right, there we go. There's a question for you guys. And further, do you think that a crowdfund cycle is sustainable over long term, or can a direct order creator-owned comics eventually be viable? For myself, I say do both. Do the Kickstarters and go through the stores. Do everything you can to make money in this business, because that's the only way you can make anything.
That's it. The only thing that's limiting you is your own capabilities, your own expectations. Fucking go for it, man.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody stop you from earning your 2 bits.
That's it. Can we get to
Carlos is our carnival barker.
There you go.
Good dude.
Yeah, he's a friend of the show. We miss him. We used to be out here almost every Sunday. Then he went and got a job. Dude,
is that what happened to Carlos? I was wondering. I haven't seen him in a while.
He went and got a job. That guy. Jesus. So he has to eat.
The nerve. The nerve.
All right, well, gentlemen, listen. The campaigns, Evan, Alan, Joe, they were fantastic. They look great. Hopefully, you guys will catch some sales off of this. So please go back those books. They look incredible. And we made it to the top of the second hour, so it's time to go. Let's start with Joe. Please let everybody know where they can find you and your work, sir.
Hey, thanks everyone for having me. Make sure you check out starcrosscomics.com for all our books from all our amazing creators. Check us out on Instagram, starcrosscomics, and check us out on Facebook, Starcross Comics on Facebook, and check out all our great creators and Evan's project.
Very nice. Alan?
That's nice. No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. We're the Pop Skull stuff is just getting going. I'm just 2 issues into my superpowered individual Spies Among Us series, and I've got the 3rd one complete, except for coloring. coloring and lettering. And then we're about to hop into a steampunk book, which is the first issue is completed with art by Ryan Best, who's basically committed to do more. He's really onto the series, so it's gonna be wild fun. Great. So yeah, more coming. We're just kind of getting up and running really at this point. But
do you have a website?
Does Pop Skull have a website? It does, but it includes other things because I do editing and I do novel writing and I edit for novelists and I do content writing. I actually do content writing for Hot Wheels.
Oh, okay.
Cool. For example, so I've got a lot of stuff on there. It's not comic specific, and I'm thinking I need to take a separate part and make it comic specific, or at least make it a direct line to the comic specific part. So it's there, but it's really just kind of like a placeholder for me to kind of like figure out what to do to make it to do the proper props to the comics side of Pop Skull.
Okay, cool, very nice, very nice. Great looking campaign. Thank you, Evan. Where can they find you and your work, sir?
They can find me at starcrosscomics.com. Also, all my series are up there, but you can also back me on Patreon at patreon.com/EvanDavidComics. And again, that is the avenue that's going to keep the content coming. Kickstarter is for print runs, but if you just want some quality comics and you don't care if they're digital or not, please consider that. And then you can also see some cool pinups of the Black Blossom and some behind the scenes work at Instagram.com/BlackBlossomComic.
Very nice. Mr. Lanning, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Of course, you always find me at Linktree /Steve Michael Lanning, which has a link to all my Facebook, Twitter, as long as it lasts. My portfolio. I guess I got to put up Mastodon up there now. And of course, if you have those websites, of course, like I said, Dispatches from Outside the Box, 8 p.m. Tuesday, where we talk about different things to inspire you to create. Also, Sketchy Saturday, every Saturday, I'm with animator John Silvestri, Hasm Productions, Rodney Fike, and sometimes Rush Leach, Mike Jimmy, and so on over there. We sketch and we try to incorporate that bullpen style, where we talk about the work and get tips and things like that. So,
okay, very nice, Mr. Rosario. Where can they find you and your work, sir?
Unstoppable Comics. All roads for me lead to and from unstoppablecomics.com. You can find all the social media links at unstoppablecomics.com.
All right, very nice, very nice. My name is JD Calderon. You can find me here on YouTube almost every Sunday. And you can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, DeviantArt, all on under JD Calderon. You can also check out the OswaldChronicles.com, TallTalesOnline.com. And don't forget, tomorrow, I got a Kickstarter launching for the Oswald Chronicles Volume 2. Go check it out when you get a chance. Thank you, everybody. You guys are all awesome. You guys are all incredible. Thank you so much for being here. Evan, Joe, Alan, Jay, whatever. Michael. No, thank you guys. No, seriously, you guys are great. Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Let me hit hopefully